Okay, so what we're going to do now is carry on with the series where we're looking at different objectives that we can have within our Unreal Engine game projects. And this one we're going to be looking at assigning a time limit. So I'm just using this project that we've been using for the other videos, but this can apply to any project at any time, something that you need your player to do within a certain time limit. Okay. So we'll look at how we can also add like a countdown timer to the screen so that the player knows how much time they have. So in order to do this, the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to add this bit of script to the character's blueprint, really just because they are always going to be persistent in the game. So it's something that's always going to disappear. You could apply this though to any suitable blueprint. So you can follow the way I do it if you want. So I'm going to go to my content and then first person in this case. Again, you might be doing a third person game or whatever, so the namings might be a little different, but just find your character's blueprint. So that's what I've got here. So I'll load this up. You can see there's the viewport and I'm going to be in the event graph. So the way I want to start this off is with an event tick. Okay, so event tick is something that's always checking and it's going every single frame that the game runs. So yeah, it's something that's going to be consistently going like a timer would. So we want it to be checking every second. Okay, you could change it to like milliseconds or something if you really wanted to. So I'm going to put delay, and this value here, this duration, is done in seconds. So I'm going to put that to 1. All right. So to do countdown, we're going to start with a condition straight away. So I'm going to go to create a branch, which is our sort of if statement or condition, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm going to come down here and type in equal to. So before I continue any further than this though, what I need is going to be my variables for seconds and minutes. Again, if you want to go into things like milliseconds or anything different, then you're going to have to add more variables for it. But most people are going to have just seconds and minutes, I'd imagine. So I'm going to go to variables over here. If you're just doing this off the bat, don't worry about these ones. You wouldn't have these. These are from my previous videos. So if I go to variables, I'm going to plus to create a new one, and I'm going to call one of them seconds, and I'm going to make that an integer, and I'm going to do the same for minutes, and that's an integer as well. Okay, so now I can drag in my seconds and get seconds and assign that to there. So basically it's saying my first condition is that if seconds get to 0, because we're going to start with saying if both of these are 0, then don't continue, otherwise continue counting down. Right, so that's if seconds get to 0. So if that's true, if seconds are 0, we want to say, well, if minutes are also 0, so I'm going to need another condition, so another branch. Same thing, again, another equal, and this time for minutes. So let's drag minutes in there, get minutes. Not setting it to anything, we're just checking. So that's why we use get. So if that's also equal to 0, okay, if they're both true, so if that path goes true and then to true, it's going to be essentially game over. And I'm just going to do a print string for that in this instance to just say game over, just so that I can see that that's working. Print string is always really good for this, checking that things are working, debugging and that kind of stuff. If it's false, so, well, with both of these, if either of them are false, that means there are seconds left, in which case it needs to be counting down. Okay, so we'll start with the seconds. That's this condition here. If seconds aren't equal to 0, so if that's false, now we want to go set seconds. There it is down there. Set seconds to minus, not min, sorry. Let's type subtract, sorry, rather than minus. And then get a reference to the seconds, plug that in there, and it's going to go -1, obviously. Okay, so every second from our delay, it's going to reduce that by 1, the amount of seconds. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, then minutes. So same thing over here. From false, set minutes. Okay, just trying to think actually, it might want to set the seconds first. So I'm going to add here set seconds, because actually rather than immediately reducing minutes -1, if you think about it, it then needs to make the seconds 59 seconds. Okay, that's where it gets slightly complicated. So it's going to reduce the minutes, but it's also going to set the seconds to 59. Okay, so if you think about how a countdown timer works, once the minutes go down, it's going to go to 59 seconds. Okay, then it's going to minus the minutes by 1. So subtract, get a reference to our minutes, and change that to 1. Okay, so let's zoom out, see what we've got. So every frame is going to be doing a delay of a second, and then it's going to see, okay, is seconds at 0? If so, it's going to check if the minutes are also 0, and if that's true, it's game over, time's run out. If seconds are not 0, it's going to minus a second, and if minutes are not 0, then it will set the seconds to 59 and then minus 1 of the minutes. Okay, hopefully that kind of makes sense. We need to see this in action, so I'm going to go over to seconds here. I need to do a compile, otherwise I can't change my default value. So with seconds, I'm going to have my default value as, I don't know, 10 seconds, and then minutes, let's give it 1 minute. So you've got 1 minute 10 seconds to do whatever it is that you need to do. Again, this is changeable. You can give them 10 minutes, 1 minute, whatever you need your player to do, whatever the time limit is. Okay, click compile again to do that. So now we just need to go to our content. I've got a widget for the things I was doing before, but I'll create a new one. So if I go to user interface, I can create a new widget, and let's call it time limit. Okay. Remember to put in your canvas panel so that you can see the screen size. And then I'm just going to do this real simple, but you guys can make yours a lot more fancy. So got a text block here. Let's just change that to 0. It doesn't matter what you type in here because it's going to be bound to the variables of the seconds and the minutes. So it's only going to display what those seconds and minutes are. So I'm just going to put 0 in there just because. Let's make it a little bit bigger so we can see it a bit better. Put it at the top up here. And then, right, so where it says text, we want to bind this. So I'm going to create binding. And we need to show it where the variable is. So it's going to be in the character. Okay, so if you put it somewhere else, it's going to be a little bit different. But this is going to say get player. Sorry, not get cast to. It's a first person, isn't it? There it is, first person character. And the object for this is going to be, this is the get player character. And we're looking for seconds, so get seconds. So there's the variable we're after. And then we're going to link that up to the return value, and it converts it to a text. That's fine, that's great. So, oops, if I come back to the design again, I'm going to bring in another text block for my minutes. Just change that to 0 again. What size did I use? 75. This isn't going to look particularly pretty, but you guys can jazz yours up a bit. And then we need to bind this one to the minutes. So create another new binding, and it's the same process. So cast to our first person character. The object is get player character. And this time we're going to get the minutes variable that we made. There it is. And go to the return, compile. So at the moment, if I push play, it's still using my widget. You can see there the heads up display from the previous video with collecting things. So I'm going to go up here to my level blueprint. If you haven't done this yet, this is the process to make or apply the widget to the screen. So begin play, create widget, and then add to viewport. But you can see here, I've already done it, but I can just change the one I want it to use. And now I want to change it to use the time limit one. There we go. Click compile, push play, and there you can see there's my seconds counting down. And that should then go to 59 and the minutes drop to 0. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I won't make you sit here for the whole time, but you'll have to trust me. The one that gets to 0, the print screen will come up to say game over. Okay, so let's just jump back quickly to my character and this script again. If you wanted it to show like a screen to say you're dead, or you wanted it to do something else, all you need to do is change this print string to something different. You could change it to this, so you could do a create widget add to viewport. So if you just, if that's true, create widget and then add to viewport, hook those up, and then you could change this to, I think I had a game over one from before, perhaps not, but you could make another widget that was game over and then have that display when you get to 0, that kind of thing. You can do. If you're not sure, then you can go back to my other objective videos where I create the game over widget, and you can do the same thing. But yeah, that's how you set up the timer, that countdown timer. So one more view over that. So event tick, checking every frame. So delay every second. It's going to check the condition for the seconds and minutes. If they're at 0, it will say whatever you want it to do here. In this instance, it's going to display the widget. If they're not at 0, it's going to reduce seconds by 1, and then reduce minutes by 1, and set the seconds back to 59 because it's counting down. Hopefully that makes sense, and you can apply that to your games how you need. Okay, thanks very much.